No matter how hard you try to will it, manipulate it, and change it, there are only 24 hours in a day. In this video, we are going to show you 4 different strategies that you'll be able to implement today in order to make your work life far more in balance.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Bergeau.
And I'm Crystal Brown.
We're a mother-daughter mediation team, and our Korero Solutions channel is dedicated to helping you become the leader that both you and your workplace deserve.
For the latest tips, tools, and advice to help you become a great leader, click that notification bell so you receive our latest content. Let's get started. For your first strategy, what you want to do is really prioritize those things that are in your life. The way that this has been described, and I'm going to take the quote from Nora Roberts, is you have glass balls and you have plastic balls that you're juggling in the air. And if you drop a plastic ball, it bounces. No harm done. If you drop a glass ball, it shatters. So you have to know which balls are glass and which are plastic and prioritize catching the glass ones. You get to determine which are the glass balls and which are the plastic balls. And this might change. Sometimes your family is going to be glass and sometimes activities are going to be plastic. It's really up to you to decide where your values lie and what the priority is for you at that time. During some times of the year, something at work might be a glass ball and other times it's going to be plastic. So sit down right now because you can only make decisions for today and figure out what are those things that you can't let drop and what are the things that, it's going to be okay, and do the 1 year rule. In 1 year, is it really going to make a difference? In 5 years, is it going to make a difference? If so, then it's a glass ball. If not, it's plastic.
Strategy number 2 is assign a value to your time. So if you're looking at what is it that I all have to accomplish today, take a look at if you have to cut something out, what is it that you could possibly set aside or move to another day. So if you're looking at meeting with certain team members or making that call or touching base with this person, take a look at which one would have the highest value. What do you have to get done today? That's the 100%. That touch base with that person that you haven't talked to in a while that's just on your list, that might be down at that 10 to 15% of the day, something that could be moved to tomorrow when you would possibly have more time. But if at the end of the day you have the time to make that call, then you make the call. It's just taking a look so you've got a conscious effort. If you're going to get your fresh cup of coffee at break time and somebody stops to chat, you in your mind know, you know what, I'm going to stand here, I'll have a quick conversation, but I do have other priorities back at my desk.
Our third strategy is to schedule out your time. It can be extremely easy to all of a sudden just attend to everything that all of a sudden starts getting thrown at you. So what you need to do is sit down and really block your time. Figure out what your priorities are for that day and get rid of the other things that are sucking that time. If you have blocked 1 hour to get a project done and all of a sudden you see something comes up on your newsfeed, don't click it. It is your time to work. So you need to make sure to hold yourself accountable to that. Don't get sucked into binge watching whatever the Netflix show is. You need to make sure to, as some people say, do the hard thing first. Get it done and get it off of your desk. If you're able to really sit in and focus, look at your week as a whole, as opposed to just one day at a time, and sit down with your calendar. Whatever it is, I don't care if it's on the phone, I don't care if it's a paper calendar, but you need to be able to see your entire week. So don't just get one of those little day planners that you have to flip every day through. We've linked some great day planners that we recommend in the bottom if you like paper. Otherwise, for myself, I know I use Google Calendar and it's beautifully color coded, and I can see I have hour chunks that are blocked to everything from work time, learning time, time with my family, dinner time is blocked. That way I know during this hour and this
Yeah.
hour, this is what I'm dedicated to doing. And my husband knows that that's my work time. My kids know that it's my work time. You really need to guard those hours, both work and personally, in order to try to strike a bit more of that balance. And by looking at the week as a whole, you know, if you're not able to get something in here because something came up, it can switch later on in the
Yeah.
week. So just looking day to day might be difficult because, guys, life happens and there's nothing you can do about it. So look at a whole week, and if you wake up or you got a bad night's sleep and you had something scheduled that you got to be on for, flip it with something else and do that week's tasks or do that day's task that day and flip that to the other, because that way your work still gets done. It doesn't just get dropped and forgotten about.
And some of the detractions from our day throughout our day is when our cell phones, same time messaging, MS Teams, everything's binging and clinging and sending you messages to say somebody wants to say hi or ask a question. Those things can also take us in a completely different direction and distract us from what the priority is that you set to be working on that day. So if you have to silence your cell phones, silence MS Teams, silence same times messaging, then do it if those are detractors for you.
And with meetings, make sure that if somebody invites you to a meeting, you actually know what the meeting is about so you can walk in prepared.
Yeah.
Don't just go in with, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I feel like we haven't talked in a while, so we're going to have a meeting.
Yeah.
Actually, have something that you need to have a result out of this to really focus in on that time and make that the best block
Yeah.
that you possibly can. Let us know in the comments below, what are some of your favorite tools or strategies in order to really balance your work life? Just take a second. If you like this video, hit that like and notification bell.
Strategy number 4 that we're going to look at is how to work smarter instead of harder. So, getting to know exactly what your deadlines are, what your priorities are, what is the timelines that you have to meet these, and also what other priorities, timelines, and requests are going to be taking some of your time. Then taking a look at your team. Who do you have on your team that you could possibly delegate some of this? Even if you love doing one of the aspects, running the stats, creating the spreadsheets, but you know you've got just as competent person on your team that you can delegate this task to. Maybe you're going to have to delegate that and then just critique parts of it when you get it back. So, looking at what is really required of your time to do that no one else on your team should be doing, could be doing, something that you want to make sure that you remain having the control over, and then delegating out the rest of it. Now, while you're dedicating your time to really working on this, so as Crystal said in strategy number 1, making sure you know your priorities, is make sure you've got that dedicated block of time and your door is shut. You've told your staff that you're going to be working this afternoon on this. You've blocked your calendar. You've closed those tabs. You've shut down MS Teams, SMS. You've put do not disturb on all your cell phones. That you're really going to focus and you're going to allow yourself the time to focus on this aspect so that you can dedicate your time and your efforts and your attention to this task.
If you're going to do one thing today, take a look at your web browser and look at what bookmarks you have. Are these bookmarks that are actually relevant to a project you're working on right now? If not, delete them. Guys, if they're your favorites, you're going to know what they are. So you're going to be able to go to them, but it's going to take you a little bit more time and energy. And that is what we want. We don't want you to be checking how the stock market's doing or going and watching that latest cat video that just so happened to pop up on your YouTube feed that you have open.
Yeah.
Make sure that all of those bookmarks that aren't relevant to your current project are shut down. Close down those tabs and turn off your notifications. I want to leave you guys with a story that I've heard and really rings true when we're talking about this. So I'm going to just quickly read this story for you guys. This is thought to be based in a Buddhist proverb. One day, a fisherman was sitting by his boat while playing with his child on a beautiful beach, his fishing pole resting against his boat. A wealthy businessman came walking down the beach, trying to relieve some of the stress of his workday. Curious and horrified at the sight of the fisherman wasting his time, the businessman asked, "Why aren't you out fishing?" The fisherman looked up at the businessman, smiled, and replied, "Because I already caught enough fish for one day." The businessman followed, "Why don't you catch more?" "What would I do with them?" replied the fisherman. "You could earn extra money," said the businessman. "Then, with the extra money, you could buy a bigger boat. You could go into deeper waters and catch more fish. Then you could make enough money to buy nylon nets. With these nets, you could catch even more fish. You could make even more money. With that money, you could own 2 boats, maybe 3. Eventually, you could have a whole fleet of boats and be rich like me." "Then what would I do?" asked the fisherman. "Then," said the businessman, "you could really enjoy life." The fisherman looked at the businessman quizzically and asked, "What do you think I'm doing now?" So remember, it's not just about going out and getting whatever you can and prioritizing for tomorrow. You need to make sure work life is also about prioritizing your today. Priorities are all well and good, but if you feel like you're unmotivated to even start working, we've linked a video in the description below. Go and check it out so that you can get motivated and re-energized to do your job. Please remember, there is no perfect way or solution to try to find balance, and what's going to work for me or your friends is not going to work for you. We all have very different lives, no matter what things look like from the outside. So feel free to try out some different things. If it doesn't work for you, then feel free to change it up so that you can finally find something that works for you and your life. If you've enjoyed this video, just take a second to hit that like, notification bell, and consider subscribing to our channel.
Remember to do something today that will change your tomorrow.
Until next time. And so,
Is work harder? No.
work harder. This is